I wanted to talk a little bit, first off, the Fiddling Festival that you had last year was the first time that I had been in and went through the Jack Thomas house. It was unbelievable of the things that this house has. And then learning the history of me being the county clerk. This is my first term as county clerk. I have worked at the clerk's office for 23 years, but this is my first term as county clerk. In reading and researching, because once I find out information of something, I want to know more. I'm the type of person that I want to figure out how it's made, who made it, and why they made it. And in finding and researching, I found out that Jack Thomas was our first county clerk in Grayson County. He was appointed in 1810 and served for 41 years. And then his son, Edwin, if I am correct in my records, Edwin then became the county clerk. So I teased my husband that I'm going to beat his record of the 41 years. He was the longest standing county clerk. That would make me 29 plus, yeah. Grayson County was founded in 1810. It came from parts of Hardin County and Ohio County. So when Grayson County was founded, some of the records that were done, the first courthouse was a log courthouse. It's my understanding that it was located further back from town, but they have no pictures or no drawings of the original first log cabin that anybody has found, or that I could find either. The records, the courthouse burnt 3 times, and each time that it burnt, so many of the records were lost. But what they tried to do, as families and people found out that it had burned, they would try to get the people to come in and bring their deeds and records back. What a lot of people don't understand, at our office, we don't keep your original deed. And even then, they did not keep the original deed. When you come into my office today, and even back then, they made a copy of that deed, and you're handed back your original. We do not keep it. And a lot of people think that you come in to make your deeds at our office. It's not that either. But now in 1810, that's what they did. They had stamps, and they paid taxes with their stamps. And I brought some of the things. One of the oldest that we have found in the office is back in 1852. So I have brought books and one of the things that I wanted to point out, there is stamps in this, and I would love for you all to look at the little stamps that are in there. The only thing that I cannot find out is for sure, and I think this is how, and some of you older ones may know this, that the stamps that were purchased for the transfer tax, I was told was purchased originally at the post office. And then there is a different stamp for the notary bonds and for the surety bonds. That there's a different stamp for them, and they were $1.50. And samples of some of them are in here as well. But I cannot find out where the transfer tax originally, and some of you all may know. Do you all know? I've been told that it came from the post office, that you had to go to the post office when you bought a piece of property, and you had to go down and buy a stamp, just like a postage stamp, that you bought a transfer stamp for $10. And in some of our records, it's going to show you in the records of the cost of some of these pieces of property, and some of them are under, it is just unbelievable of what some of the things that we have. As county clerk, I've been fortunate enough, I've done everything in the office. The office now, we are responsible, and at the time, in 1810, the county clerk was responsible for the land records and marriage license. That's all the county clerk was responsible for. Now we are responsible for over 200 items that we are responsible for in the clerk's office. And each year it seems like they keep adding and adding things to us, but that's okay. We just take it in stride and just plug our way through. We do marriage license, we do fishing license, we now do vehicle license, we do titling, we do transfers, we do bonds, and the list just goes on and on. If you need anything done, and we are also, for the county, we're also the operator. If you need to know anything or any number, call our office. But in several of the things, I've made copies of several of the things, and I would like for you all to look at them The only thing that I would like to caution you all on this one, this book has been through the fire. This was one of the books that was rescued from the last fire in 1937. So it will get you dirty. So just be cautious on flipping through it whenever you all flip through, okay? The duties that I have, one of the duties is to upkeep and responsible for making sure the books and the records are all managed and are kept safe. And one of the things that we have done this year, and that I'm very proud of, for restoring some of the books. They do not destroy the book. What they have done is they've enclosed them in the sheets. And this book is the colored marriage book for Grayson County. But they kept all the original. But the original binders was, when I started 23 years ago, we were downstairs in the basement of the courthouse. We were in the small room that is now what we call the small courtroom when we have physical court meetings. That's another thing that the clerk is responsible for, is attending and keeping record of physical court meetings. We were downstairs. And it's my understanding that every office for the county was in the courthouse at one time. So I can't even imagine, we were so crowded just being in the one room, I can't imagine being. But we were fortunate 8 years ago that we moved upstairs to the old courtroom. And we have remodeled and redone. Last year, I received a grant, and the old roller shelves, and as we were taking them apart, this is so interesting, as we were taking some of the old roller shelves apart that has been here since the Civil War, it had dates on it. One of the dates on the back of the old roller shelf was 1910. So it was like, it was just unbelievable that those had been up there for so long. But I received a grant, and we have new roller shelving in the office. And we did keep that shelf that said 1910 because I'm a buff on stuff like that. I love to keep that old family stuff and the old history of what's going on. And that way, too, we can have that to go back to and look at and whatever, you know, so we keep that. But when we were downstairs, when we were moving upstairs, we had to clean out the closet. We called it the closet. And it's the room about the size of this room. And as I said, at one time, every office in the county offices was in the courthouse. This is some of the records that was left from the circuit clerk's office. They did the judging and the whatever. And we were very fortunate that one cabinet was left, and they did not want to keep it. They said, okay, we've had all we want. We don't want to keep any more of the records. This is one of our records that was left, and it says the affidavit and that he is in trouble, and this is his charge. He bought 1/2 pint of vodka, an alcoholic beverage, from so-and-so, and it says where, and his fine is $2. And this was in 1964 when Grayson County was a dry county. But here's the good part. The evidence is still and we finally got it open. We just couldn't stand it. We finally got it open, and it smells like urine. And I know whatever. It's a horrible smell. But here's the evidence that goes along with this one, if you all would like to see that. And you might recognize some of the names. As you go, I want to leave you all time so you can look through the books. I want to leave you all time so you all can look through books and stuff like that. Is there any questions? Of course, the big thing coming up, we're responsible for the election coming up. I'm also, and for all the duties of the election. We do voter registration. We are responsible for finding precinct workers. We're responsible
That's
for...
a question. How do you find precinct workers?
The state law, we send out to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, each of their chairmen. They're sent out, and there is 4 people per precinct that each party finds. And then the County Board of Elections, which I am on, the County Board of Elections then decides who of those people will work at that precinct. And what we try to do is find people that live in that precinct. But in Grayson County, sometimes that's really hard to do. And we've got precinct workers that have been there for years. As a matter of fact, I've got one that's 89 years old, and she's working again this time. So, yeah. We're responsible for property taxes on your land. I am responsible, the PBA, and we work hand in hand with so many of the offices. The PBA is responsible for assessing your property. And then he sends up the assessment to my office. And then my office is responsible for printing up those bills. And then you have the opportunity to pay them from November until April 15th. And then once April 15th comes around, April 16th, we get them as delinquent. And then we have the tax sale to make money for the counties. Last year, our budget was $5 million for Grayson County, for my office. We had a $5 million budget. We budgeted, and I'm such a tightwad, my husband tells you too, that I'm a tightwad at home, so I'm a tightwad at the office, so you, I think.
Yes.
I tell him I'm frugal, but.
Tightwad.
But the money's, because of the law, I'm a fee office, and none of that money's is kept. So at the first of the year, any monies that I have left over in excess fees, I turn back over to the county, and then the county uses them. So I start the beginning of the year with zero each year, and we start all over again. There's so many things all these things that I want to tell everybody, and it's like, okay, I'm just going on and on.
How much money did you turn back this time? That's quite a bit, wasn't it?
$169,000.
Wow, that's unreal.
Do you keep a log of that, what that money goes to, and a history of that?
Yes.
The excess money that
Yes.
goes back on?
No, once it goes back to the fiscal court, I have no control over it.
Okay.
I have no control over the money.
When's your
and what
rather
they do.
spend it?
I would rather spend it. Because there's so many things that I want to do for the office that I see that I could help improve and do as it goes along. And I would love to be able to see this accomplished. For those that do genealogy research, and for those that do, our records date back to 1896 is our records that we have. We have some that are older, but most of them, 1896, we're pretty good on. 1935 to 37, that was the last fire, and a lot of people did come back in and give us information and stuff too. So, but on our computer, for you to be able to look, all we have on there is the deeds and the mortgages and some plats. So I would like to eventually have some of the marriage records and some of the will records and everything, to where you can sit at your own house and look through and check it out, because we have several people from out of state that were from here, or their grandparents were from here, or their parents, and that gives them the opportunity to check it out online and not make a trip. Although we would love to see people come down and whatever, because it's interesting. Anytime you speak to somebody, they always have a story of, you know, my family did this, or my family was that. So it's been really interesting as county clerk, finding out whose families are from here. I am not from here. Myron is from here. And I'm originally from Louisville. I know, don't boo. And we moved to Elizabethtown, and then when he and I married, my parents had a business. So we moved up there for 8 years, and then we purchased the family farm when we came back here. And whenever he told me, and this is horrible, I'm getting ready to say what I'm getting ready to say, I said, "You're taking me where?" He's like, "We're going to the farm." Huh?
I've had the exact same conversation.
Yes, it's like, "You're taking me where?" And now I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, Margaret, and it's funny, I want to tell this too. We moved here in 90, and Margaret called in 91 and asked me if I would like to come to work as a deputy clerk. And Margaret is now retired. It was Margaret, and then Carletto is my previous boss. Margaret called and she said, "Sherry," she said, "wondered if you're interested in a job." And I said, "Yes, I would, think I would." And just in talking, trying to figure out. And after I was hired and after I'd been there a while, she said, "Do you want to know why?" She said, "I called you." I said, "Why?" And she said, "My son Scott was in E-Town, and he said he had forgotten his wallet that day, and said he had come by y'all's house because my husband's brother, they did construction. And they'd come by the house, and because both of them had forgotten their wallets that day. And they'd come by the house, and I fixed them lunch and gave them $20, just to make sure get home on. And he said, "Mom," he said, "that's the kind of person that you need in your office, because she's going to help work with people. And that's what I've been proud of. I've been proud that I try to help people. If anybody has questions or anything like that, that's what I try to do anyway.
Think you succeed.
If somebody wanted to come to the clerk's office and look through records, what kind of a process would they have to go through?
They're all public record. So if some of the older books we have in the back room, because they are so fragile, but if you would like to look at some of the older ones, we do have to where we can get them out for you and whatever, and give you some gloves, because you will get your hands dirty on some of
Do you
these.
like some advance notice on that rather than just
No.
walk in the door?
No, the girls are good. I've got a good crew. We can find most anything that you want.